Good day and welcome to our BEE training series. Today we are going to look at management control and the points required about it, but also to ensure that you get maximum value for what you have to go through in terms of BEE. Right, so without going into too much detail and talking about technicalities and so on, what is management control? In terms of management control, we look at people who run your business and not necessarily shareholders. Remember in the previous session we spoke about shareholding, and those are the guys who own the business. Management control is about management of the business and not control. So who are the participants who takes part in management control? Firstly, it's board members. Board members could be shareholders as well, but we don't talk about shareholders here, and we don't score points if you are a shareholder. So here we are looking only at who runs the business at a very high level. Then your executive management, day-to-day decision makers of the business, executing the plan of the business. We go further down to senior management, middle management, and junior management. So those are the different levels that we are talking about. Then lastly, there's also points available for disabilities, and we'll look at the detail of the scorecard in a little bit. What is important to remember here is that we look only at black employees. So you don't get points for white staff or white employees for BEE purposes at least. So only the black employees are accounted for here, but we do measure them against the whole organogram. So the white staff versus the black almost. And then another thing that's important, and it's the last bullet on this specific slide, talks about the economically active population. What that is the number of people in a specific province or nationally that takes part in the economy. So those are the people earning salaries that gets measured. So you do need to go and find out which province you generate your revenue from. If you're only based in Mpumalanga, for instance, we look at the Mpumalanga EAP, and you need to go and measure yourself against the EAP of that province. So for instance, if there's 45% black males participating in the economy and say 40% black African females, then you also need to go and ensure that 45% of your senior management needs to be black males and 40% needs to be black females. So the breakdown of the number of staff is determined by the economically active population, and that gets published every now and then. So you need to ensure that you stick in line with those breakdowns, and that also happens for skills development. So for you to get your points and to accurately measure your points and to take it to verification at the end, you need to have your employment equity plan submitted. And you need to give the verification agencies your EA2 and your EA4 for them to go and measure versus that. Because you've submitted that to the Department of Labor, it means that that now becomes fact. And it's something that's verifiable. And obviously you can get penalties if you do that incorrectly. What happens with management control is that we measure the accuracy of your submission for management control points versus that. Also your organogram and then staff salaries and so on to ensure the accuracies of these, the information that you provide to the verification agencies. So management control in essence is to see how you promote black staff within your business, that you're not top heavy with white staff and then a lot of black staff at the bottom, but to give a chance or opportunities at least to black staff to grow in the business, and then you measure your points against that. The next two slides is merely a breakdown of the points available under each of these categories. So to start off with board participation, we look at how that is broken down. So you can see that you're getting 2 points if you have 50% of your board members being black people. Then you get another point if 25% of your board is black females. So it means that 4 of your board members you have one of them need to be a black female, and that gives you another point. Then your executive management, again, 50% gives you 2 points, and 25% gives you 1 point. So that's the way that the points work. You need to go and look at male, firstly, and secondly, female participation. The compliance target gives you the number of people in that category that has to be black, and that has to fulfill the requirement of this criteria. Say, for instance, we go to senior management and you look at that. If you've got 60% of your senior manager as black people, you'll get 2 points. If you have 30% as black females, you'll get another point. So again, every time a breakdown of male versus female. Very specific and targeted points here. And for you to go and see, if you grow your business, who do you have to appoint? And you'll see a lot of times that adverts for jobs say EE candidates only. So employment equity targeted specific candidates. So firstly, to comply with your employment equity requirements, but secondly also to gain you some points on the BBEE scorecard. To carry on with the point breakdown, there's further categories for middle management and junior management. So for middle management, 75% black, 38% female. And then junior management, 88% black participation, and 44% gives you 1 point if they're females. So the lower you go on this hierarchy, the more your percentage becomes, and the points are also a little bit less. So very important to go and see that you get some top-heavy black individuals into your business and to drive your growth from there. Get a lot of more points there, and you can count these guys twice as well. So board participation and executives. And lastly, your disabilities, people with disabilities, 2% of your staff needs to be with disabilities, and you'll get 2 points for that. All of these points are fractional, so it's a formula, and if you only have 1% or 0.5%, then you get a fraction of the points again. You'll only get half the points if it's 1%. So it's not 2% and you go broke, there's nothing. You'll get proportional points for every disabled person that is on your organogram. Some practical things around management control is that you must submit a workplace skills plan and your ATR every year. You need to submit your employment equity plan because that's a benchmark against what you get measured there. And then your organogram and your employment equity plan, and then whatever you claim for management control needs to be consistent. Your verification agency is allowed to interview the staff that you claim points for. So if you say that you've got a black board member, they are allowed to interview this person to see if they're active, if they're really part of the board, and if you're not just fronting it. So it is a possibility, and if they are able to do that, to interview. And if you refuse that, they're obviously not going to allow you the points there. Thank you for taking the time to listening to today's session. If you have any questions about management control, you're very welcome to go to our website, createinfinity.co.za, or send an email to info@createinfinity.co.za. Very well equipped to assist you. Try and see that you gain maximum points for your management control.